It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women to own businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Maria Brito. Maria Brito is an award-winning New York-based contemporary art advisor, author, and curator. A Harvard graduate originally from Venezuela, her first monograph, Out There, published by Pointed Leaf Press in 2013, was the recipient of the Best Book Awards in both the art and design categories. In 2015, Brito was selected by Complex Magazine as one of the 20 power players in the art world, and in 2020, she was named ARTNEWS as one of the visionaries who gets to shape the art world. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Miss Maria Brito. Hey, Miss Maria, how are you?
Hi, Kimberly. Thank you for the intro. I'm so happy to be here with you. And hello. Yay. I'm ready.
It's exciting to have you on. You have so many great accomplishments, and I'm just really thrilled to have you on my platform. I think you are the first person I've actually had been on the show as a art curator. So it is going to be an amazing opportunity here to talk tonight with you. And I'm really excited for the listeners to learn a little bit more about who Maria Brito really is. So why don't you give them a spiel about who you are, Miss Maria?
Thank you, Kimberly. I live in New York City, and what I do is that I build art collections for aesthetic and emotional advantages and benefits of living with art and collecting it and enjoying it. And I curate and rotate the collections also for companies. And I also individually and independently curate art shows around the world in galleries, in private galleries. And so I've had a very privileged position to work with more than 400 and something artists all over the United States and the world, to be honest, and also to work with incredible clients ranging from hip-hop moguls to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. I've had the privilege of serving those people and helping them refine their art taste and their collections. And, I am very lucky because I used to be a corporate attorney and I hated it, and that was eating my soul. Okay. So 13 years ago, I took this amazing route and path, and this is where I have been enjoying my life to the fullest. The best and happiest 13 years of my life started when I quit my career as a corporate attorney and I opened this company. So here we are.
Wow. I'm sitting here in awe right now. To hear that you were a corporate attorney. Now, how do you go from being a corporate attorney? And I'm going to just say real quick, I loved what you just said, how that job was eating your soul. So obviously, your taking the opportunity, your inspiration was to just say, I can't do this anymore. And I'm sure there are some other things, but just talk a little bit about that journey of, you know what? I've put all my time into being this corporate attorney, because that takes years to, get to that point and then all of a sudden one day decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. Could you talk a little bit to the listeners about your journey from going from a corporate attorney to where you are now?
Sure. It's a build-up of experiences. I wanted to pursue a creative career when I was a child and as a teenager, but coming from a South American conservative family, you don't really have a lot of options because it's almost like you need to find a very dependable career. So you have to go to medical school or you have to go to law school and things like that. Because otherwise you're going to starve. You know the story.
Right.
This very strange kind of, it's very old school thinking. And so I had to follow. Part of me was convinced that that was what I needed to do, right? Because when you grow up with parents who are constantly telling you that's the only path, you end up internalizing the message, even if it goes against what you really want to do. So I had that bug inside of me, and I had been, when I moved to New York City in year 2000 as a newly minted attorney, I started buying little art for me and connecting with artists and connecting with galleries. And so little by little, that kind of started growing on me, and I started recommending artists to some friends, and they always would say, you have such a great eye. You always choose the right artists, the ones who actually gain financial value, the ones that are worth investing in. And that gave me some momentum, even if it was internal. And what actually was the defining moment, if you will, is when I had my first child, and I saw this baby so little and so pure and tender, and I was thinking for myself, what is the legacy that I want to leave this child with? What do I want to teach him about life and about pursuing passions and having purpose and meaning in life? And this is when actually it really hit me hard that I was going to go back. And I actually did go back to the law firm after he was born, because my maternity leave was 3 months, and I went back because I couldn't figure out in 3 months what I was going to do with my life. And it hit me so hard because I was working 14 hours and literally sleeping with my phone under my pillow. For what? There was no real meaning or purpose behind it. I know that attorneys have a purpose, and I respect them. I was one of them, but it was not my purpose. So when my maternity leave was up and I went back, it was a matter of about 4 or 5 months that I put together a business plan, the ideas that I had for this company that I have and own and love and that has grown so much. And I quit. I quit a very safe and stable and very excellently paying and, everything. But those were my golden handcuffs. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. And so it took me, as I'm saying, it took me 9 years to actually take that step. But I think that you have to mature as a person and have this moment in life to be able to make or to take steps that are so profound and life-changing like I did.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And I love what you said that, you still took your time, even though you knew that, when you seen your son born and, he's this beautiful life that you brought into the world that, as mothers, we all start to realize that what else can we do differently? We obviously want to make sure that our family is well supported and our children are well taken care of. But, when you can get to the point in life when you can say to yourself that there's got to be something better to do. And like you said, your position as a corporate attorney is a phenomenal thing to even accomplish. But to realize that there's something more inside of you, I think that is the biggest struggle that people go through every day, trying to understand that they have purpose in this life. And, the way that you just described your purpose and your journey is amazing. And it's something that people still constantly need to hear so they can understand that you can do what you want to do, but the way you plan it out is even more important. And talk a little bit more about that journey of planning and, coming into this type of a business, because, you may have to have an eye for it, but how do you truly understand art?
That's an excellent question, because the truth of the matter is that I only had a very little foundation of what I was going to be doing, not in terms of my eyes to the art, because I grew up in this family that even though they thought that pursuing anything fun and interesting for me was not my path, they actually believed that it was very important for any child in my family to go to museums and to go to art galleries and to go to the theater and to watch nice films and things like that, right? So this was formed inside of me, and I took a lot of art history classes and whatnot. But the business itself, I did not know a lot of the mechanics. So, of course, I made a lot of mistakes that were very, very complicated. But it's part of the deal. And even if I had all the ammunition in the world and every piece of experience, I would have still made mistakes, right? And so I think that I was equipped with very interesting things at the time. I had enormous curiosity and hunger to learn. So I bought every book I could get my hands on. I asked all my friends or not friends, but contacts in the business to pick their brains. I sat down with people. I did a lot of networking. And I think the other thing that helped me is that because I was an outsider and I had not been groomed in the industry, I approached everything like a blank canvas. And so it was an opportunity for me to learn. I didn't have enemies. I didn't have opinions formed about people. I couldn't label. I couldn't so it was a very fresh start for me, literally so fresh. And when you take any project that there are no preconceptions, there are no formed opinions, you actually have such a bigger chance of succeeding, because all the things that we made in our minds, all the things that we create in our minds that are not necessarily true, they don't exist. All the things that point at failure or fear, or when you know too much about an industry or the people, there are a lot of things in your mind that prevent you from actually taking certain steps. But that was not my case, because everything was so new for me. So the planning, like you said, yes, I did a business plan that was very, rustic and rudimentary at the time. Right. And I went ahead and I hired a web designer. I hired a woman who helped me with messaging because I needed to refine it. So I sat down with her and we talked a lot about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to approach the world of art and being in people's homes and help them build this art collection. So as you can imagine, this was a crazy upward curve of steep learning curve that I had to jump on myself to learn the business, to connect with the people, to shake their right hands, and to form and build a name in an industry that can be really difficult and tough. But I was ready. I was like, I'm going to do this no matter what.
Right. And
that's what I did.
Exactly. And that's the key. You had that momentum. You decided that this is where you wanted to be, and you knew that there was definitely going to be the proper steps and, hard steps to take in order to get to where you're at today. And Maria, can you explain to my listeners what a curator does?
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this: everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Well, see, the art market is a $50 billion monster, okay, globally. And so it has grown tremendously. And what I do is like I am the eyes and I'm the ears of people who do not have the time to go to a gallery every day. Like I see a new different show almost every day because I live in New York City and we have over 1,000 galleries, right? I go to art fairs. So last week in New York City, we had all the art fairs went back to normal, not normal, but they went back to being in person. So I had to hit about 4 or 5 different art fairs from one place to the other. And I bring my clients, I walk them around, I show them what I think is the best thing for their collections, what are the artists that I'm betting on that are young, or I find things for them that make sense in their art collection. So the art has to talk to each other and has to make sense to be coherent, because most of the time these things are hanging in people's walls, right? And so it's part of their environment and it's part of how it looks. And also each one of my clients is very different. So I need to understand what their likes and dislikes are and also push them a little bit out of their comfort zones, because sometimes that's like the most interesting thing is when you have a client that starts being on the safe side and acquiring things on the very safe side, and then they become a little bit more exciting and excited about what they are seeing, and they take chances on younger artists that are a little bit edgier and things like that. So that's exactly what I do. I make sure that the acquisitions happen smoothly. I negotiate prices on behalf of the client. I make sure that there is a traceability. We know where everything is. I have a team of people who manage and catalog everything, so we know what each one of my clients has. We actually lend them to museums as well, because since I have so many clients and they have acquired so much art, the museums also come and ask us to lend them pieces. So we do that. We lend them pieces for specific exhibitions, which actually makes the value of the art get, it's even more valuable when an artwork has been exhibited at a museum. And it's basically a very exciting job that it keeps me on my toes, because the art market has grown, as I said before, tremendously, especially in the past 5 years. And we have young and new artists coming up all the time. And so it's very interesting. And I'm very, as I'm saying, it's like a dream to have gone from that dry Wall Street office that I had, where I had to spend, 16 hours a day attached literally to a computer and to my chair, to being on this amazing journey, seeing beautiful things and talking to very interesting people all day long.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that, because to listen to you talk, you're so passionate. And I know being an attorney, you can only show so much passion, so to speak, when you're dealing with people and, because that's that's two very important entities and to be into, but, to hear you talk about what you do and, you just have such, you make somebody want to listen to you and to understand their worthiness in being an artist. I'm sure there are very many starving artists out there, and I'm sure there's some that are going to be listening to this show about, I do this, I love what I do, but how do I get connected? What do I do beyond just doing the artwork? What advice would you give to a new artist on how to start making those connections?
Well, I think the first thing is to let go of the starving artist mentality, because, Kimberly, to tell you the truth, there has never been a better time to be an artist. Never. There has never been, right? Because now they have not only the access to, first of all, Instagram changed the game for everybody, because the artists who have a talent and they started posting images about their work and connecting and exposing themselves just by using the platform and some hashtags and whatnot. And if they're good, they're going to be found. I can guarantee you that, right? And the other thing is the artists who hang out with other artists always have a lead. And so it's very important to maintain connections with other artists, either people who went to school with you or people who actually become a part of a community and things like that. Because this is what I feel. Every time I talk to an artist, and I visit them in their studios. And this happens weekly. They tell me, let me show you my friend, Joe, Dick, and Harry, or whoever, because I want you to see that, this person is doing great work. Or let me tell you about this little gallery on the edges of Brooklyn and Queens that you're going to love. And it's so, so it's a lot about community. And I understand that artists sometimes feel that they can be shy or whatnot, but I want to debunk that. Artists are entrepreneurs, and artists are literally on the driver's seat as we speak. I have never seen anything in history, literally, like what we're living right now with artists, and the amount of money that is going to their pockets is insane. And it was long due. I'm actually saying this with all due respect, but for those who are wondering, how do you make those connections? Put yourself out there through social media. You don't really have to physically go anywhere, but make sure that you connect with social media, that you post the best of your work. Don't be lazy about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just posting a picture, and make sure to build community with other artists, or to connect with the local artists and show up to the openings and shake hands. Those things, we're in a post-pandemic or still in a pandemic world, but it's not over. The world is not over. I think...
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm, Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Everything in New York is kind of back to a normalcy, if you will. Right. Everybody's wearing masks. Yeah, that's true. But I think that it's important that I think people need to understand that it's about like being out in the world and trying to forge connections. The word community is very important for the art world, and it all starts with community, right? And so, but also, now, as I'm telling you, everybody has a different outlet. Now artists are doing NFTs. NFTs are, can be a piece of digital art. They don't even have to do anything. They have to pay a minting fee to be able to be on the blockchain and whatnot. But it's a very democratic process, so they don't need a gallery, and they just can't make money out of putting, of doing NFTs that are attached to cryptocurrencies and things like that. And so there are many, many ways for artists to find some success and actually make money and be actually wealthy. Lots of artists are very wealthy, even young artists. Young artists are the hottest commodities right now.
Wow.
So let's just claim this important thing that artists, like everybody, you have good ones, you have bad ones, you have starting ones, and you have rich ones. Like you have bad dentists and you have good dentists.
Exactly.
You have,
Right.
So it's like let's just start by claiming and appropriating the idea that the artists can be very wealthy, because they can, and they are, and the truth is, and that's for anybody in any profession. You have very, very wealthy people, and you have people who can't make ends meet. So I want if I can shine a light on people's ears right now, if that's possible, is to make sure that that they know that it's possible for them. And they might say, well, yeah, so it's for you to say that and this and that. No, I understand. I've also been in very difficult financial situations at time in my life. But, the minute I got rid of all that mentality of lack and I opened my world to abundance, I made my business very successful and continue to do so financially and otherwise. So I think it's important to move, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Kimberly, that we have to expand and open our world to the idea that there is abundance and that there is a lot for everybody, that it's not a scarcity, and that, the source of our success comes from us, right? I mean, it comes from the work that we put out. It comes from the way we serve people. We serve people with excellence, and we put ourselves out there because we have also never had this many opportunities to put ourselves out there with podcasts and with social media and video. We have everything at our disposal.
Right. So in other words, there's really no excuse. That's, and people today always, especially a lot of our younger generations, they're looking for that instant gratification. And granted, being an artist, it definitely comes with work, but like you're saying, the technology is there, the social media is there. There really are no excuses to be able to expose yourself and what you do. So, Lisa, the power right now is in their hands. And then, of course, like I said, those connections and being a part of the community, our community is very important. So I love, what you're sharing with people so they can stop making excuses. And I always tell people, just get outside of your head, start thinking in a different way so that you can continue to move forward in your dreams, because that's really what it's about. And you've taken that step. And during the time that you took the step, it was a little bit different than what it is today, but now you're living your dream. You're helping others. People realize what their capabilities are. And then, of course, helping those people who love art and making sure that they're collecting the right pieces is even more phenomenal. So I want to talk a little bit about you being an author. Talk to me and the listeners about your book, Out There.
It's so interesting you asked that question, because Out There was my first monograph, and it came at a time where I was starting. I was a year and a half into this new business, and it fell upon me. I mean, I was incredibly lucky that publishing house found me, and it was a very exciting moment in my life, because as a newly minted art advisor and a curator, I needed to have something like a vehicle to show the world that I was serious, about what I was doing. So that was an amazing moment in my life. But I have a book coming up with HarperCollins next March, and that is like where I put my heart and soul for, because it's actually the culmination of this past 13 years, and it's how I built my business and how anybody can actually access the best of their ideas and put them out in the world for the greater good of everybody. And so I'm super thrilled. I love writing. I write a weekly newsletter that mixes art, business, and creativity for anybody. It's not for artists. It's for anybody who wants to excite their minds and find different angles to our daily life and how to tackle different problems with innovation and with creativity. So I love writing, and it's a pleasure for me. It grounds me. It's work. Obviously, it is a lot of work, but it's also very grounding. And so my upcoming book, we still have so much time until then, but it's a project that I'm super thrilled about, and just like I was when I did Out There, but this is a different type of book. It's just text, and Out There had a lot of images, and it was like my rite of passage, if you will, right? It was like I feel that when I wrote that book, I was like a teenager, you know what I mean? And now I'm a fully mature adult. I mean, even though I was not a teenager, but I feel in that way because I had to go through these ups and downs of building my business, and I had to gain the experience that I have now, that I feel that I feel like it's important for me to share with the world. And I think that we all have, as authors, we have a responsibility to leave the world in a better place than the place how we found it, right? And so this is my intention, is that you and anybody who's listening want to dive into this work for themselves to create joy and excitement, to help them get unstuck, to help them come up with ideas that can help them live a life with more meaning and purpose. I don't want anybody to suffer the way I suffered when I was an attorney, because I sold out on my dreams. And I am so thankful that I was able to take that step and that I trusted my gut and I went with my intuition and I quit that job, because imagine how miserable I would be and how it would have consumed my life. Really.
Right.
So being an author for me is very important, because I can help make a difference in the world to the extent that I can impact people's lives positively. So yes, it's a beautiful thing.
You're absolutely right. I like that. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it. And what was the name of the book that's going to be coming out again next year?
It's going to be named How Creativity Rules the World.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to definitely be looking out for that. And then I have a couple more questions as we're getting closer to the end. But talk about the C Files with Maria Brito. Is it still a TV streaming series on PBS?
It is.
Yay.
Please go and check it out.
I know. I was checking it out a little earlier when I was listening before we had our meeting. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. This is amazing. So tell listeners a little bit about your series.
It is. So the C Files was born out of a desire that I had to bring issues of social justice in connection with art to more mainstream, platform and more educational. And so I had been filming certain amount of videos for Instagram and interviewing and talking to artists about issues of race and gender and, even millennial dating, things like that. And a friend of mine said, she worked at PBS, and she said they are launching a different platform that is fully owned by PBS, that is going to be focused 100% on art and artists. And I think that what you're doing is so cool. Why don't we pitch a similar concept for this platform? It will be streaming on PBS, and it will be on television also in the tri-state area, because PBS is, when it's online, it's national, but on the television, it's a state-by-state thing.
Right.
And so I said, they love the concept, and I divided the episodes in different topics. So our first one is with an extraordinary African-American artist called Sanford Biggers, and he tackles in his work a lot of police brutality, and it's beautiful what he does. And it's also a very complex work that he does with textiles and quilts that relate back to slavery. But he does it in a very beautiful way. It's not anger. It's beautiful. So we talk about those things. I visited him in his studio in Harlem, and then I also bring in Chef Marcus Samuelson, because they are really good friends. So I wanted Marcus to come in and talk about his experience of living in Harlem. So I try to always connect things that are not necessarily that obvious to the eye, and to bring them in. And so that's one of the episodes. Another episode was with an artist who is famous for doing really large murals on the street, and her name is Caledonia Curry, but everybody knows her as Swan. And the issue with her was that she grew up in a house with heroin addict parents. So she was very ashamed of that. All her life, she was trying to hide her parents, her past, and things like that, until she actually came forward and told the story about her parents, and that was so freeing. But also, I wanted her to talk about the stigma of kids who grow up with addict families, and how difficult it is for them. And the beauty actually that can come on the other side, because now she also has a foundation in Philadelphia where she helps people to come in and, take a shower, wash, their faces and hands and things and utilize their skills in a different way if they have been, consuming and using drugs. So, and then, we go in another one with a trans artist, and we go in another one with artists who are very and deeply into political activism. Wow. So I took these 4 different artists and we did a beautiful, job with this. I'm very proud of it. But, working with television is so consuming. And we were going to do a second season, but the pandemic hit us.
Right.
And we haven't reached, it's crazy because each episode is like 15 minutes and it took 2 days each one to shoot.
Wow.
Plus all this other, crazy, plus all the other editing that comes in post. So, I have, after I did that, I respected people and actors even more than ever because I was like, this is so exhausting. It's fabulous, but it's exhausting.
Right.
And so you have to have enormous patience. You have to have enormous patience and enormous stamina. Right. And, when the pandemic hit, I took all my spare time, which, it's not that much because I still was working every day and I had 2 kids. But the time where I was not involved in a million other things, I took my time for writing. And that's when I was able to write the book, the one that's coming up. So, but thank you for asking about the C-Files because I think it's fabulous that you ask. And if you just Google the C-Files Maria Brito PBS, you're going to find the link in whatever state you are in. It's going to show up.
Yeah, it is absolutely there. Like I said, I was taking a little peek at it before we talked tonight. So I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this. So yeah, it's phenomenal what you've done. And oh, wow. I know the next time I'm in New York, I have to definitely look you up, Miss Maria, because I would love to meet you in person. I would love to. Oh, wow.
That would be my pleasure. That will be my pleasure. I think that you have the strength and the charisma that, the type of host that actually elevates people's spirits. So it's super cool to be talking to you today because I can feel your energy. It's amazing. And, hosting a podcast is not easy at all. So for whoever is listening, they have to actually appreciate all the work that you put into this.
Well, I appreciate those words because some days, I'm sure we all have gone through and you've gone through, you'd be like, why am I doing this? So, I definitely understand and I definitely appreciate the compliment it makes me help me continue to move forward in what I'm doing. I love what I do and, and talking to everybody and learning and sharing your stories because there are so many people out here who need to hear your stories. They need to realize that we're human, we're real, we've gone through things because, when most people see you or see us, all they see is the good part. They don't really understand how hard you have to work to get to where you're at. So I definitely thank you for coming. Definitely thank you for coming on the show with us tonight. But before we go, please, Miss Maria, tell everybody how they can reach out to you or where they can come and see you and they're in New York.
Well, just come to my website. It's mariabrito.com, and there are links there for everybody to find me on social media or to sign up for this free newsletter every Tuesday to take a peek at the things that I do. That is the best place to find me. So please go ahead, and that's where everything is.
Awesome. Well, all right then. Well, again, Miss Maria, I do appreciate you coming on and spending a little bit of time with me this evening. It has been such a pleasure. And for everyone else, I'm telling you, if you have not listened to this, you need to go back and listen over and over and over because Miss Maria, they gave out some great, as I call it, pink nuggets, and talking about the opportunity of what it means to be, in the visionary art world and how, your dreams can come true. And I always ask these questions about, what is your visualization? What is your dream? So if you are interested in understanding how to reach your dream, please reach out to me at KimberlyWSBILC@gmail.com. Let's have that chat. Let's talk about those dreams and let's turn them into real goals. And of course, if you want more of your resource for success, please donate to support the podcast. You can go to our website at www.WSBILC.com. And again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight here. We'll be back next week with more amazing amazing guests, be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.